Okay, thank you. All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It looks like we well have a quorum here, so we are going to begin. Welcome to the first meeting of the Human Relations and Aging Committee. I want to first just make a couple of introductory remarks. I am honored to be chosen to be chairman of this committee because I have spent my entire career serving individuals who are disabled, aged, blind, disabled, individuals with developmental disabilities, children with autism, and have an absolute passion for those populations. And so my hope is that we will continue to accomplish good things in this committee, and I'm honored to have this fine group of individuals here with me today. I thought we would begin by allowing the new members, if you're newly on this committee, we will get you to introduce yourself, and I will let you do that. And you hit your button there. We're going to go right here, number 7 first. All right.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative Donna McLeod. I represent part of Bethlehem, part of Decula, part of Lawrenceville, part of Grayson, and part of Loganville. I am a chemical engineer by profession, and I look forward to being on this committee and making a difference.
Thank you so much. We're excited to have you here as well. All right, right next to me here, Representative Moore.
Hello, my name is Colton Moore. I represent District 1. That is where Alabama and Tennessee comes together, high atop Lookout Mountain. My occupation is I'm an auctioneer, but my grandparents are very close to me, so that's a special opportunity to be on this committee. So,
thank you, sir. We're honored to have you, and I might need you to stay next to me as an auctioneer. We might need that at some point. All right. Representative Tanner, all right?
Turner,
I'm sorry.
just don't just don't call me Spencer. We'll be okay.
Representative Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Scott Turner. I represent House District 21, which is in Cherokee County. I'm an IT guy by trade, and I basically run a testing lab to make sure products that go to marketplace are safe and meet international standards.
Very well. All right. And down on the end, we have a new member.
I'm Representative Mary Robichaud. I represent House District 48, which is Roswell, and a very small sliver of Alpharetta, Georgia. My background is healthcare management, quality, and efficiency expert.
Okay, and my new seatmate in the House down here, number 3.
This is Eric Allen, District 40, which is a little bit of Fulton, North Buckhead, also Vining, Smyrna, Mableton, and Cobb. I'm a healthcare consultant, recovering healthcare executive, as I like to say it. I actually spent 3 years working for the Department of Behavioral Health, Developmental Disabilities for the state of Georgia. Also spent a lot of time in long-term care. So really excited to be part of the committee.
Thank you. Welcome. And Representative Pullen.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Ken Pullen from District 131, which is Pike County, Upson County, and part of Lamar County, so about an hour south of here. I work for a bank, but I consider myself more of an IT guy than a banker. But I am happy to be on the committee and happy to be working with Chairman Petrie.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to make a couple of remarks. I thought that it would be a good idea to do a couple of things today. And I first want to go over, I was looking at some of the accomplishments of this committee in the past, and since we have a lot of new members here, and actually some freshmen to the House, I thought that I would review just very briefly some of the great things that we've been able to do here in this General Assembly over the last few years. That information is available to each of you in your file. Okay, so those of you that are in each member's file there. But if you'll look through with me, I'm just going to hit a couple of the high points. I want everybody here to hear this, some of the great things we've been doing. So just if you look at the senior side, because again, folks, we're going to deal here with the most precious and vulnerable members of our society. We're going to be dealing with those individuals who are disabled, developmentally disabled. We're dealing with people with traumatic brain injuries. We're talking about children. We're talking about so many populations that are those which are indeed most vulnerable for society. And so I just was looking at some of the things we did just in the last session, in the 2018 session. Just last year, we improved the personal needs spending allowance for nursing home residents, and I see we have some of our nursing home folks in the back. That was a great success. That was about $1.6 million. We had a 4.3% provider rate increase for skilled nursing facilities. We increased the ability for providers to serve individuals on Medicaid and assisted living facilities, adult day health centers, a 5% increase. And if you look at some of the legislation we passed last year, HB 749 is in your file. All this in your file, guys. And we exempted from state income tax military retirement by a surviving family member of a deceased veteran. That was HB 749. HB 635, and I'm just skipping around, just highlighting some of these. We passed the Disabled Adults and Elder Persons Protection Act, okay, which allows district attorneys in each judicial circuit to focus on elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation. We passed SB 406 last year, which was a huge bill that was passed that the Department of Community Health is handling very well and capably, where we have now required that every caregiver and owner who is serving individuals that are in skilled nursing facilities, personal care homes, adult day centers, you name it, hospice agencies, all will be fingerprinted. That was done just last year. SB 444 was passed last year, the Georgia Alzheimer's and Related Dementias State Plan Advisory Council. So there's been a great deal of accomplishments. And of course, Chairman Benton, back in 2017, we had HB 486, where we improved the training, a curriculum for proxy caregivers. That was an issue that really affects all of the different providers that serve these populations. Great piece of legislation there. Beyond that, I want to mention a few more. Again, just from 2018, $10.3 million for child and adolescent crisis services, including 4 new respite homes. And I'm going to skip through most of these, but this is so important. Suicide prevention. Suicide prevention, $1.1 million. We expanded the GCAL, the Georgia Crisis Access Line. We expanded those staffing hours to make sure that we continue to deal with that crisis in this country. $3 million for the DBHDD to continue to add waivered slots for the now and the comp waivers. And I hope that everyone here is aware, and certainly these members, I hope that you will, if you're new to this, you will study and learn that we have just about deinstitutionalized individuals with developmental disabilities in this state. We have removed people from hospitals, from institutions, and we're getting them out in the community. And we continue to fund every year improvements to make sure that we continue to do that. $6 million last year for behavioral health crisis center beds, $4 million for substance abuse recovery programs, and the list goes on. I do want to mention that since 2012, and I see Doug Reinecke is here with the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, just since 2012, we have put $115 million in the now and comp waivers alone to take people out of state hospitals and keep them in the community. My friends, these are huge accomplishments. Autism initiatives. We have put over right at $11 million for crisis services last year in mental health training and awareness. And of course, I hope most of you are aware of, I'm going to skip over some of these, but to go back to a previous session, what bill was it where we actually have increased our ability, our date on serving children with autism. We raised it to 21 years of age. So there's so many things that we have done, and I hope that we can continue to do that, and I hope that this information in your file will be helpful to you. There's also some information in here on children, and if you will look at where we are with child and family well-being, you will see that our benchmarks on children in poverty are improving. And of course, this is information that's a couple of years late, and it's delayed on gathering this data. So you're going to see improvements there because during the trough of the recession, when the recession is bad and people are suffering financially, children suffer, right? And so I think with this remarkable economy we have today, we're going to see that continue to improve. But it had improved as of 2016, and we think we'll continue to see that. So I hope this information is helpful to you, and it will help you to understand kind of where we've been so we can make decisions on where we go going forward. Well, I think now what we will do is adopt our rules. And I have before me the rules, and you do as well, that were the rules of this committee last session. And I am going to recommend that we raise the quorum. And I will let y'all, do y'all need a moment to review these rules? Okay, please do so. I'll try to review them while you're doing that. The quorum, as it stands today, is 4 members. We have 24 members on this committee. And I will let you read the others. I might highlight a couple of them. Well, actually, y'all are doing this in every committee. I'm going to let y'all read over these. There's no sense in me reading them to you. Y'all are seeing essentially the same rules in every committee. I'm recommending we raise the quorum to 6. It is currently at 4, and I believe we need to raise that. So, someone like to make a motion? Okay, Representative Lumsden, our former chairman.
I move we make the adjustment, raise that quorum to 6 members.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Okay, good. Any discussion, ma'am? Okay, well, we have a motion now. We're working on Representative Lumsden's motion. We have discussion, so yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I thought I had you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to discuss the percentages that would be. So 6 out of 24 would be a bit less than 25% of the committee. I would like to see about us moving that up to at least 7, which would put us at 29% of the committee.
Okay, any more discussion on Representative Lumsden's motion? Yeah. Representative Lumsden's motion to increase the quorum from 4 to 6. Yeah, I'm sorry, I
Oh,
didn't
you're
see
fine.
it flashing. I'm
Thank you,
sorry,
Chairman.
B. Okay.
I'd also like to support Representative Cannon's suggestion to moving it to 7. I just left our education committee, and the quorum there is 7, which puts us closer to 29%. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, all in favor of moving the quorum from 4 to 6, we'll say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. Okay. Would we like? The ayes have it. We can do a hand count. I was expecting that. Yes, do a hand count, Ms. Tara? Yeah. Ayes?
Hold on. People stop moving. Keep your hands up high, please. Okay.
Okay, and the nays?
Ten to 7.
10 to 7 in favor. We have a quorum of 6. All right. The next issue, I have asked, hoping it would be helpful to everyone here, that we have 2 of the departments. So we're going to deal primarily with 3 departments here. The Department of Community Health, the Department of... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry. Let me get, okay. Representative Lumsden.
I move that we accept the rules with the change of the quorum.
Do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt the rules before us with the amended 6 as a quorum. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? No. Ayes clearly have it. And the rules are adopted. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. So back to the departments. Again, in the interest of trying to be helpful, to make sure that we are an educated committee and understand what the departments do, I've asked two of the departments that we'll deal with to be here today and to kind of speak to us about their structure and very briefly those things that they deal with. The third department that we'll deal with primarily here is the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. And we will ask them, in the interest of time, to do that at the next meeting. What I would like to do today, first of all, is for everyone on this committee, is to ask the three government affairs individuals for those departments to please stand up and introduce yourselves, because I think it's going to be helpful to these committee members. So that would be Ms. Brandy Sylvan with the Department of Community Health, Mr. Doug Reinecke with the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, and also Miss Ashley Fielding in the back there with the Department of Human Services. And so those individuals, guys, if you have issues, constituent issues, or questions about the departments that relate to bills that are before this committee, please contact those individuals. They will know absolutely how to help you. Having done that then, we will go with Department of Community Health first, and Ms. Sylvan will give us a review of the Department of Community Health and how it relates to this committee. Thank you.
For some of our new legislators, somebody on our team has reached out to several of you to kind of coordinate some introductory meetings. We certainly, welcome the opportunity to have those discussions, but that offer is open to anyone. Certainly, if there's anything you would like to meet with us about and discuss, we are available and to you. So I just wanted to give a brief overview of the department and our major programs. Again, my name is Brandy Sylvan. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for the Department of Community Health. Our commissioner is Frank Berry, and we have several major programs at the department, most notably Medicaid, the State Health Benefit Plan, Healthcare Facility Regulation, the Office of Health Planning, which is Certificate of Need, and also the State Office of Rural Health. So I've left each of you a folder that has some informational packets on some of these programs. And there's an org chart in there and my contact information. But between Medicaid and the State Health Benefit Plan, we provide health insurance coverage to about 1 in 4 Georgians. So the Medicaid program covers roughly 2 million children and adults in the state. The State Health Benefit Plan, we currently have about 680,000 lives covered on that plan. Also our Healthcare Facility Regulation Division, they regulate all of the healthcare facilities throughout the state that require licensure. So that is approximately 24,000 facilities throughout the state that we are inspecting and licensing. They also are the ones that would accept complaints for facilities. They conduct those investigations and work with the facilities to bring them back into compliance. Obviously, we will be hearing a lot about Certificate of Need this year. So our Office of Health Planning, really the department is neutral on any modifications to that program, but we are here to be informational resource to you all and in guiding that policy in an informed way. So, but like I said, I look forward to working with all of you. If you have any questions or would like to have a follow-up discussion, I'm available. Is there anything specifically you would like me to touch on, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you so much. Any questions from the committee? From Ms. Sylvan. We have one from Ms. Beasley Teague.
Do you regulate the facilities for our seniors when they're in rehab facilities?
So we regulate by facility type. That does include nursing homes, assisted living, personal care homes. It's all of the defined facility types that require licensure.
So we would call you if we're having a problem in the facility?
Yes, ma'am. We have an intake department within the Healthcare Facility Regulation Division that accepts any complaints or reports that we need to be aware of and investigate.
So do you handle that or do you outsource that?
We internally handle those inspections. Yes, ma'am. It's in your folder.
Okay.
I'll make sure you get one, ma'am.
All right, any other, okay. Okay. Chairman Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Several years ago, we passed legislation that would make it tougher on these homes that are non-compliant. Have we seen the numbers of those go down, or are they?
I'll be happy to follow up with you on that. I don't know off the top of my head. So, certainly, particularly with unlicensed personal care homes, that continues to be a concern. The department does our best to investigate those in as timely a manner as possible. And we accept all of those complaints that come in, and sometimes we do refer those out to law enforcement agencies as well.
Do most of your complaints come from family members or from neighbors of the homes that they're wondering what's going on in there?
I don't know the answer to
Okay.
that. I apologize.
All right, thank you.
The ones I see personally tend to be family members.
Thank you, Chairman Benton. I want to mention to Chairman Benton's point, for those of you, again, that are newer, House Bill 803 by Representative Wendell Willard created the offense of trafficking a disabled adult or elder person, I think is one of the things that the chairman is speaking to. Very, very good piece of legislation. Any further questions from the committee? Yes? Okay, here we go.
Thank you, Mr.
Representative
Chair.
Fry.
Hey, we had an issue in Athens where we had an unlicensed facility, I think you remember, and it turned out that we really didn't have any way to prosecute them, because once they were determined to be unlicensed, then there was no real purveyance, and I think it got shifted over to the parole board or the sheriffs or something like that.
So there is a challenge in that, we only have oversight of licensed facilities. And so for unlicensed activity, we do often refer those to law enforcement. Now, whether or not they are able to take action on that, we would not play a role in that decision.
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would that be something that we could figure out, maybe to try to, I guess, add some teeth, because it's a really weird setup. It's not y'all's fault at all. It's just a really weird setup that we don't have a way to really enforce, because that's not what law enforcement, they're like, what? Why are you calling us? They don't even know that they're supposed to be called, I think, in this particular case.
Well, and there are certainly ongoing conversations about the best way to address this problem. There's actually a task force that has been created that this is one of the items they regularly look at, is how can we best address the problem and concern of unlicensed personal care homes.
Okay. Thanks for your help this year, though. Appreciate
Absolutely.
Any further questions of the committee from Ms. Sylvan? Okay. Ms. Sylvan, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate the department. Okay, now, Ms. Ashley Fielding, who will be speaking for the Department of Human Services.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your foresight in having this opportunity for us to provide a little education on what the Department of Human Services does today. My name is Ashley Fielding. I am the Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Human Services. I am also the Chief External Affairs Officer. If you'll indulge me just a moment, I'd like to introduce some individuals who are in the room who are members of our leadership team. Jackie Tate is our Director of Legislative Affairs. She is sitting in the back. John Anderson is our Director of Office of Family Independence in the Division of Family and Children's Services. We also have with us today our Deputy Director of DFACS for our Child Welfare Unit, Mr. Keith Bostick. Also, we have our Deputy Director for Child Support Services, Mr. John Hurst, and our Director of Aging Services, Ms. Abby Cox. I want to call your attention to the folder that's on the table in front of you and go through the information that is available to you. I'll be referencing it throughout my presentation. First, just for your general information, there's a contact sheet with all of the general phone numbers that you may need to call for anything related to our department. There's also an organizational chart behind that was requested by the chairman that I think may help you understand the structure of our department, because it is a little unique. And then also our annual report for fiscal year 2018, which I will reference some information in that to kind of guide you through some of the work that the department does as I give you an overview of our agency. Again, I am Deputy Commissioner of the department. I work for Commissioner Robin Crittenden, and I work at the direction of DFACS Director Tom Rawlings. It's been an honor to work with you over the last several years on several initiatives that have improved the way that we serve families in the state of Georgia. Our vision is stronger families for a stronger Georgia, and a lot of the work that we have done in the last 6 years, much of which Representative Petrie referenced, has helped us realize that vision or get closer to realizing that vision. Some of that has strengthened the support that we have given to relatives who step up to care for children in foster care. There has been funding that has helped us reduce our caseloads both in child welfare and in adult protective services. We have been able each year to serve more individuals who reach out to us seeking assistance with nutritional support in our Division of Aging Services as well. And so we look forward to continuing those partnerships that have allowed us to increase that work over the last several years. The department touches 1 in 5 individuals in the state of Georgia through either its Division of Aging Services, its Division of Child Support Services, or its Division of Family and Children Services. We have about 9,000 employees across the state and a DFACS county in every office that helps us achieve our goals. We have, by and large, our staff are housed in the Division of Family and Children Services. The majority of the work that is done there is in our Office of Family Independence. We are the state agency that is designated to administer the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, commonly known as food stamps. We also administer Medicaid eligibility for the Department of Community Health and administer the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program on that side of the house. What you may also be very familiar with is our Child Welfare Services section of the agency. We have about 14,000 children in foster care, and we respond to more than 200,000 reports of abuse, neglect of children in our state every year. Our Division of Child Support Services is the state agency which is designated to monitor and enforce child support orders for those that are applied for us. There are different child support orders that are dealt with privately through the courts, but for those individuals who come to us seeking services, we are obligated to help locate those parents, establish paternity on the case, and then monitor the collection of the court-ordered child support amount. With regard to child support, I want to call your attention to a couple of changes that have occurred in the last few years. First, we have improved our ability to serve families through technology. If you look on page 30 of the annual report in front of you, you'll see that we now have a mobile application that allows families to get information on their child support cases and to request changes to their cases all in the palm of their hands. This, of course, is an initiative that we believe helps support getting families back to work because they do not have to take time to call the office or go into the office to take care of any business related to that. One of our most recent enhancements on that application allows us to request if our driver's license has been suspended for non-payment of child support to begin the process of dealing with that issue. One thing that people don't know much about our child support program, because people typically think of it as an enforcement program, is that we are very much in the business of providing services both to non-custodial and custodial parents. If you look on pages 32 and 33, you'll see some valuable information about 2 particular outreach programs we have that are designed to help parents who are struggling to pay their child support to get back on their feet, remove the barriers that are standing between them and supporting their children both financially and emotionally, and comply with their child support orders. One is the Parental Accountability Court, which mirrors many of the accountability courts you see in the criminal courts, but in the civil court. and our fatherhood program, which is designed to support parents who are underemployed or unemployed get the job training they need and the job they need to be able to meet the obligation of their support order. Moving on to the Division of Aging Services. The Division of Aging Services' primary goal is to help individuals who are aged 55 and older or 18 and above with a disability live in the setting of their choosing for as long as they can. We do that through a variety of services that are administered largely through a network of area agencies on aging to support families and their caregivers. This could be in-home services, homemaker services. One of the services that many of you are probably most familiar with is our home delivered meals program, which is in some areas called Meals on Wheels. And then they are also, while I speak about those services, I want to make sure that you are aware of our Aging and Disability Resource Connection. That is what we call our one-stop shop for unbiased information about any of the services that may support those families in their time of need. The phone number for that resource connection is on the contact sheet in your folder if you should need it at any time. And then finally, I want to speak about two other areas of the department that are not covered in the divisions, but that you may be made aware of during your time at the General Assembly. One is our residential child care licensing unit. They are responsible for setting the standard for any group home or child placing agency in the state, so that then those individuals may then contract with the DFACS or the Department of Juvenile Justice for the placement of children in their care, custody, and oversight. If you have a facility in your area that you are interested in gaining information on, that residential child care unit has all of its reports available online for all of the facilities it regulates across the state. And then finally, we have our Benefits Integrity and Recovery Unit. They are charged with investigating allegations of fraud, waste, and abuse in the benefit programs that we administer. And they are available 24 hours a day to answer any allegations that you may have at any point in time. Mr. Chairman, I hope that was brief enough for you, but if you have any questions, I or any of the individuals in the crowd will be happy to answer.
Well, we do have, so that was excellent, Ms. Fielding, and we do have some questions. All right, number 7 here, all right.
Thank you, Chairman. I wanted to, so you've covered a lot of things, and one of the things about the agent and their civic responsibility, and I have a bill that I drafted because I had some issues with folks that are in personal care and other facilities that nobody was kind of helping them to make sure they can vote and participate. I don't know, how we can go about helping those folks to make sure that happens.
I think one starting place, Representative, may be the Long-Term Care Ombudsman's Office. They are designed and they are actually housed in our department, though they report separately and have their own board, to advocate for individuals who are in long-term care facilities. Melanie McNeil, I'm not sure if she is here today, but she would likely be the best resource
Melanie.
for researching that. And we can get you in contact with her.
That'd be great. And we need to talk about that too, because I really do think this is very important. They're, still active member of our society and deserve to be able to participate fully in their civic.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. Representative Scott from Clayton Henry County. Thank you for being here this afternoon. Group homes. Is there any way that, or can you tell me how can a neighborhood monitor group homes, have any say about group homes coming into a neighborhood? Who does that fall up under? People just come into a neighborhood, put up group homes without alerting the people that live in the neighborhood, and you have the police there every day, morning and night. What can we do about issues like that dealing with group homes in subdivisions?
Thank you for that question, Representative Scott. I have two answers for you. One is if you have a concern about a particular facility, I can take that information and refer it to our regulation Office of Residential Child Care Licensing. But also you may want to check with your local zoning department on whether or not the area is zoned for such a facility and they are following the proper protocol locally on that.
Chairman Benton. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Fielding, appreciate all the work that you've done in the past for these departments and how quickly you get to those problems when you're called. Two questions. I don't see a card for liaison for y'all's agency. Do you have that information, or?
I can certainly provide that information to you.
That helps out because we're not scuffling around trying to find somebody.
Absolutely.
The other thing is these phone numbers that you gave us, are these manned during the work hours?
Yes, sir, they are. And the Child Protective Services intake line operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on holidays.
Are these the numbers that constituents would call if they had a question?
These are the initial contact resources. If there is an issue that has not been resolved through the normal channels, either through the local office or through these initial contacts, then of course you can refer them to our constituent services unit, which is also listed here. My team is up on the top, the DHS Constituent Services team, and then DFACS, because of the sheer volume of inquiries that they receive, they also have a separate line and email address for those issues as well.
Well, one of the problems that I've had with some constituents is on the DFACS line. They call the number and it says it puts them on hold, and then it comes back and says we cannot answer your call, but we will return your call in a day. And if we don't, call this number. And then they wait a day, and then they call that number that was given to them for the second number, and it says the same thing, and it becomes a continuing thing, and usually that's when I get a call. Sure. Is when they can't get anybody on this number here to call them back. And you know, if you say you're gonna call somebody back in a day, then you need to do that. Or if you need to up it to 2 days. But in a lot of cases, especially in the DFAC stuff, the people that are calling are upset when they call in the first place. But that's one of the things I wish y'all would take a look at, because if we're gonna put them on hold, or we're gonna tell them to call, leave a message, and if you don't hear something back in a day, call. That's another number is given. Can we see what could be done to? I shouldn't have people having to call me to get service if they've got a telephone number here. But if they can't get service, that's when I get called. So, is there any chance you might could look into that?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. I thank you for that concern. I'm assuming that you are talking about our line to get information about food stamp benefits or eligibility for other services such as that.
Well, it could be that they're trying to get information about a child or that type of thing, and they call the number. It could be a parent that's trying to find out what's happened to the child, that they can't find out any information, and then the next thing they do is they call these numbers, and then they call my office and say, we can't get them to answer the phone. And so I think that it shouldn't be that difficult for a constituent that's trying to handle it themselves to get a hold of somebody on the phone. Instead of it shouldn't have to come to me when they can't get a hold of somebody at the DFACS number. So that's what I was referring to there.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I will look into some of that for you and report back on some statistics that we have on our responsiveness, both on our child welfare line and our line for economic assistance benefits. I can tell you that in the last 5 years that there has been a tremendous shift in the way we do business on the economic assistance side particularly, and where we have made some great strides in terms of customer service, but of course we certainly see the need to continue to make improvements so that we can better serve families, because we do know that when they come to us, they are in their greatest times of need.
Yes, ma'am.
As you spoke about the child welfare, if someone was looking for information about a child welfare case, that is typically handled on the local level with a local case manager's contact information. In addition to providing you those statistics that I just referenced, I also want to make sure that each of you have the contact information for your county directors in your local areas, because if you are hearing that a case manager is not calling back their constituents, especially those who are on their caseloads in situations where we have vulnerable children, that will give you a place to escalate that before coming to the state office to deal with that, and that will also empower your constituents as well, so that issue can be handled.
I appreciate it. I've even called the number and left a message, and I couldn't get them to call back. So that was the reason I was bringing that up. I hate to air that out in here in committee, but I think that that probably everybody that's sitting up here has had some problem with a constituent not being able to find out information that they needed to find out on this, and that we're in the business, state's in the business of doing this. So if it was in a business of selling hardware stuff and you didn't call people back, you'd be out of business pretty soon. So, but I appreciate you answering the question. Appreciate that you getting the information to us. Thank you.
Thank you for that, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Benton. And Ms. Fielding, so you will provide all of us maybe with our regional contact?
Yes, sir.
As my understanding from what you just said. That will be very helpful, I think, to all the members of the House. Very good. We have two final questions. Representative Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ashley, for the information. I wanted to ask a little bit about the health of some of our aging Georgians as it relates to reproductive health. I've been reading some staggering information about transmitted infections, both sexually and in reproductive health. And, as a member of the LGBTQ community, I hear from Georgians from every inch of this state who are looking for a safe place to talk. And there are many older Georgians who have been living out of the closet and are going back in the closet now. And so I just wanted to kind of open it as they go into different homes and different care facilities. So for fear of retaliation. And so it's a very kind of serious matter, but I'm hopeful to bring it to you today just to ask you to look into the health services for those who are aging, and that to be kind of inclusive of all of our Georgians.
Thank you for that comment, Representative Cannon. I will certainly look into that and follow up with you on some information very soon.
Thank you.
Okay, that is, Ms. Fielding, thank you so much. And again, I want to just finally say, I think that was helpful. I think we've started with a lot of great information. I want to thank all the departments and each of you, Ms. Fielding, Ms. Sylvan, Mr. Reinecke. I will tell you guys that my personal experience has been whenever I have called any of them with a constituent issue, they're on it like a rat on a Cheeto, and I appreciate that. And y'all help us to serve those individuals that we are dedicated to serving. So thank you for that, and I think we've heard some good recommendations today. Thank y'all. Anything else? Okay, nothing else. I just want to make sure there wasn't something I was forgetting. With that, we are adjourned.